Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass podcast. This for UFC Long Island show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Use promo code DOP when making an account, and they'll match up to $100 on your first deposit. Helps out the show, and we've been doing pretty good at it. You know, Prize Picks producer Pat has been absolutely crushing it, undefeated through 2 episodes, but pretty impressive stuff. I absolutely smashed on the first week. Luckily, I tailed Pat last week. That got me kind of back to even on it. It's been a lot of fun. They have like props that you can't really bet anywhere else, so it's like there's definitely some edges and value to be had. I've been having a lot of fun with it so far. Cody, you know, a bit of a mishmash of a week last week. I started out Il Fuego. My first 2 bets hit. I'm just like, all right, this is gonna be a very good night. And then, you know, the wheels completely fell off. But it wasn't a complete disaster. Yeah, it was another losing night. Not exactly great. You had your top 2 lines hit, which covers your bases on the bottom end. But 3 more, including this one, 3 more weeks of cards. And then I think there's a week break. But yeah, like there's fights all summer long. Keep the grind alive, and good fortune will come.
Yeah, last week ended up being not terrible. I mean, we got the top 2 tickets. I know a lot of people are unhappy about Jamie Malarkey's situation, but as a close fight, you can make a good argument that Michael Johnson may have won it, but I fully expect to get bit in the ass with a bad bounce down the road because, Paul, as you know, it goes around, it comes around. So got that one. That secured the top 2. Of course, Nurmagomedov and Fiziev got the job done on the top line. Onama, got the job done in the second. And then Keo Barahau, he looked awesome. I liked him. Unfortunately, he was stuck on a line with Ronnie Lawrence. So a couple tweaking, could have things that have been a little bit better, but all around, not too bad. And then moving on to this card, Paul, my man, the underdogs I like doesn't seem like anybody likes. The favorites that I like doesn't seem like anybody likes. This is a tricky card to say the least. But happy to be joined by you. Happy to be joined by the crew over down at Mayo Media Network and then delivering another fine show for Prize Picks. So let's jump into things.
I like the sounds of Cody Saftic liking a bunch of underdogs. I'll tell you that much. Let's get into it. We got Brian Ortega taking on Yair Rodriguez. Brian Ortega is a -180 favorite. Yair can be had for +155. Who you got here, buddy?
Because you could make an argument for a good underdog shot here on the basis of Brian Ortega has a tendency to just stand in front of the guy and brawl. And that's fine, but he's also been on the receiving end of 2 massive beatings. At some point, the chin's going to crack, and that's not the best way to fight Yair Rodriguez. Of course, the guy's tricky. He throws flying knees. He throws crazy spinning back elbows. He's got a rangy kick game. And for a guy like Brian Ortega that's super hittable and tends to leave his chin there, tends not to evade a whole lot of strikes, those are catastrophic blows to be receiving. So as far as the underdog goes, if you thought this was going to be a 25-minute striking battle, Yair Rodriguez is going to have plenty of opportunities to ding this guy up, bust him up. Judges, of course, react well to seeing damage that's visible. Brian Ortega wears all that. So I totally think that Pantera, Yair Rodriguez could present some problems. On the other hand, Brian Ortega has to realize, I could just take this guy down. And if he just takes this guy down, it should be money. Yeah, Rodriguez, once upon a time, you'll remember, you've been around the game for well over 10 years now, but the guy's such a highly touted prospect on his way up, and Frankie Edgar is a man on his way down. And when they met in that night, Frankie just took him down one time effortlessly and absolutely smashed him to bits on the ground. Now, that exposed Yair Rodriguez right then and there that his ground game, not that good. His wrestling, not that good. Fun and exciting striker. So they book him against the Korean zombie, Chang Sung-jung. Why? Because he's a fun and entertaining striker, and it's a crazy striking battle. Good argument that he's about to lose this crazy fight, and then he lands just like an ungodly elbow, naked elbow from just beautiful strike. Everybody knows about it. Gets a late KO, but one has to imagine that, it was a pure striking affair. You didn't get to see his ground game, and he was on the verge of losing the fight, for the record. The Jeremy Stephens fight, no contest, eye poke, nothing gets going. The second Jeremy Stephens fight, he gets taken down 3 times. Now, this is significant because Jeremy Stephens is not a wrestler, right? Nope. He's a striker. But here's the thing with Yair. He sets himself off balance so much. He throws so many crazy techniques. He's not going out there and strictly trying to wrestle. He's not trying to sprawl and brawl. He's trying to land a bunch of shit. So Stevens takes him down 3 times. And of course, fight goes to decision. Not a great win for Pantera, but good enough. Now you get the Max Holloway fight. That's where all this credibility is coming from. That's where all this, oh, he's back and he's amazing and he's this and that. Okay, keep in mind, he got taken down 3 times clean by Max Holloway in that fight, but he fell to the ground on his own 3 times in that fight. Once off a flying knee, once off he throws a flying knee, he misses it, he falls to the ground. He throws like a spinning back kick, misses it, falls to the ground. And in the 3rd round, Paul, he straight up just throws a leg kick, hits Holloway, and then falls to the ground. Now, the 3rd one's significant because Holloway just easily gets on top of him and passes to Mount right away, puts him in an arm triangle choke, bails on it, fight gets back standing. Max just double legs him back to the ground and beats the crap out of him for the rest of the 3rd round. So you see right then and there, his ground game really hasn't improved that much. He can fight crazy striking battles at a hectic pace, but he just creates too many opportunities for his opponent on the ground. Now, the guys recently, the Jeremy Stevens of the world, the Max Holloways, maybe they're not capitalizing. Brian Ortega's going to capitalize. It's BJJ slick. He's the only guy that's really given Alexander Volkanovski, Max Holloway the 2nd time, of course, he gave him a great fight, but he put him in some really dangerous spots. And what he does is he capitalizes on the slightest mistake. Once he capitalizes on that mistake, he can use his submission game, which I think is just highly advanced. Also, if you look at Brian Ortega sneakily, right? Here's a guy that just only had BJJ. Only thing he can do is grapple. Then he spends a lot of time working on his boxing, works a lot of time on his striking. You saw how he fared against Korean zombie Chang Sung-jung. He absolutely pieced him up. But one thing that he's also been working on is his wrestling. And look at his last 3 fights now, right? His last fight against Alexander Volkanovski, he took him down twice. Who takes down Volk? But Brian Ortega took him down twice. The Chang Sung-jung fight, he got his wrestling going there, took him down 3 times. The Max Holloway fight. Max Holloway had some of the highest takedown defense in all the UFC. He took Max Holloway down twice. He's getting these guys down. And Pantera is way easier to get down. In fact, most of the time he falls down on his own. I just got to think Ortega's going to capitalize at some point. And for that reason, he's got to be the main event selection.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to add to that. I think under 4.5 rounds is a spot I'm interested in. Obviously, fights can go to decision. Of course, it's high end fighters in the featherweight division. But yeah, Jeremy Stevens taking you down 3 times, like Ortega takes you down once, and it could be a big problem. That could be curtains right there for him. Yair, I think is pretty overrated. Like the Chan Sung-jung fight, he was seconds away, or literally a second away from losing that fight, and then that elbow lands like after they do like the hey, let's throw down right here, right now. So that's a win on his record. That literally, if Chan Sung-jung goes, you know what, I'm just gonna ride this one out, he wins the fight. I think Ortega's the line's been moving that way. It was like -150, -160. It's like -180 now. It's going to continue to move. I think he's the rightful favorite. Very, very rightful favorite. I think Ortega inside the distance, Ortega by sub. And if you want to play it a little bit safe and cover your tracks on, maybe Yair lands something really, really flashy, then the under 4.5 rounds. On Prize Picks, 2 takedowns, Brian Ortega.
Over.
You think over? Because I worry that Ortega takes him down once, and that's all she wrote. That's my big concern with that. Over. And then the significant strike seems kind of high to me at 87.5. Like 87.5 would indicate that this fight goes to decision. I think that this fight gets finished. So I'm kind of like on the under train in here. Haven't locked anything in yet, but that's where my mind's at. I think Ortega will absolutely style on him if he takes him to the ground, and it won't even be remotely close. Yeah, so that's where my head's at on. Let's move on to the co-main event. We got Amanda Lemos taking on Pat's favorite UFC fighter, Michelle, the karate hottie Waterson. She was on the Challenge, one of the offshoot seasons that they had, and Pat became a big fan. Lemos is a -320 favorite. Waterson can be had for +270. Your takes here, bud?
Well, I'm actually going to draw one out of Pat Mayo's playbook on this, is that this is a women's MMA fight that's likely going 15 minutes and will be relatively competitive. And they've lined one of the girls who's coming off a loss at -270. I think I'm leaning towards karate hottie. So let's look at this quickly, right? Lemos is Karate Hottie, good argument for against her. You knew I'm going to bring this one up. 36 years old, right? Maybe she's starting to slow down. Maybe she's not as motivated. Maybe she's got opportunities outside the cage. But in that same breath, Lemos is 35 years old. So I kind of think that physically they both should be near-ish. But Lemos starts a UFC run. She loses to Leslie Smith. You give her a pass there. It's the rest of it. Miranda Granger, very low level. Don't think she's with the promotion anymore. Submits her. Mizuki Inoue, fairly low level. Don't believe she's with the promotion anymore. Livian Souza, woof. That girl turned out to be a bust. Man, God, she looked good in Invicta. Terrible in the UFC. I believe she's released. Montserrat Ruiz, very one-dimensional. I believe still with the promotion, but just clinging on to a job at this point. And again, she shows that she's got very good power for this division for 115 pounds. She's big on her power, but it's not like she wows you with output. It's not like she's physically strong. I'll give her that. And she has the power. But there's not a whole lot of well-roundedness to her game. No. When she fights Angela Hill, finally out of the run of fighters she's been fighting, it's like somebody that's credible, established within the division, has some decent striking. And what happens is she clips Angela Hill in the first round of that fight, hurts her. Hill recovers. That's what steals her that round. Outside of that, very close and competitive. Hill wins the second. Third is up in the air. Could go either way. I scored the fight for Angela Hill personally, but they give it to Lemos. Without that knockdown in the first round, she probably does lose that fight. But again, you see the power on display. So when I look at Michelle Waterson, here's a girl that's gone to decision her last 6 fights, has shown a lot of durability throughout the tenure of her career. 3 of her last 4 fights have been 5-rounders. She's fought the divisions. We're not talking Miranda Granger and Livian Souza. We're talking Joanna Jacek, Carla Esparza, her own fight with Angela Hill, which was close competitive over the course of 5, and a fight with Marina Rodriguez her last time out. So she's operating at a higher level, in my opinion. She's competitive for the most part, but I look at the numbers a lot of the time. Again, they're 5-round fights, but she still did put up 88 against Marina Rodriguez, who's an excellent striker, of course. The Angela Hill fight, she put up 128 strikes, landed 128 significant strikes, and added the takedown to the mix. The Carla Esparza fight, split decision. Go back and rewatch it, man. Close. Carla Esparza is the current champ of the division. So she's tough. She's durable. She's savvy. She's pretty. She's marketable. She's got, some reputation in the UFC. If this thing goes 15 and it's close, it's not crazy to think that she's going to pull it out. Going back to Lemos, it goes back to the same argument with the volume. In her fight with Angela Hill, she got taken down by Hill, which is a bad sign because Hill's not a great wrestler. In fact, Michelle Waterson, better wrestler than Angela Hill, I would imagine, and could maybe mix in the takedowns. On top of that, she only lands 50 significant strikes. It was 50 to 48. Other fights that have gone the distance, the Mizuki Inoue fight, you're kind of fighting a punch and bag, so you can put up good numbers in that. But for the most part, I feel like she's either got that big power early where she'll put it on you, or she's going to sit back and relax and sit on her punches a little bit more, not exchange as much. And I think Michelle Waterson could just make it close, competitive. It's women's MMA. And I'll tell you what, if I was to take Lemos at 270, if I was to add her to parlays, she'd lose. So I'll do us all the favor and go the other way. Take Waterson, put her way down on the list, and take it as an underdog play.
Totally agree. It's like the most clear dogger pass I've seen in a while.
At the line, at this price tag?
Waterson's never been knocked out. She's went the distance with very, very credible fighters. I think Lemos, we kind of saw her, monumental rise up the division, but she's fighting Montserrat Ruiz and the shell of Lavina Souza. Waterson's gonna hang in tough. She's very, very mobile on her feet. Quick in and out of the pocket. If you look at her Instagram, she is in great shape right now. She looks
the challenge. Strong. You got to be on good shape to get ready to jump on one of those.
She looks like more jacked than I think I've ever seen her before, and she's plus 270. You can get a little bit greasier if you want and go Waterson by decision, which I see for plus 500 out there at a couple spots and plus 400 and some others. But
that's not bad at all.
It's not bad at all. But
dude, her last 6 fights have gone to decision. If she wins, it's going to be by control and outpointing from the outside. Definitely chase that decision prop.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah. Again,
I worry that maybe this is the fight where Lemos just her cardio falls off of a cliff. She does slow down in round 3. And I got into this issue last week chasing Chase Sherman, by decision.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
We were so close to getting that decision, though, man. God
I was
damn
very
it.
close to getting that decision, but it's just like, man, I could have just locked up a plus 180 dog. I mean, that was a bigger difference than this is. That was like plus 180 to like plus 550. So that was my rationale in getting in on it. But it's like I had, a minute and 41 seconds. It's like burned into my consciousness right now. That I was just like, you know what? Sometimes maybe just take the win when you think that it's a good dog. But yeah, I think Waterson wins by decision. I just think that at plus 270, I think there's enough meat on the bone there anyway that I don't have to get tricky with it. Pat.
Worth noting that, on the challenge, the Karate Tate defeated Anissa in a cage match. And as Paul, as you know, Anissa's a thick lady.
Like, there's at least like 4 to 5 C's at the end of thick there. Like, she is thick. And she's a veteran of the challenge. Do not mess with Anissa.
Right.
Yeah, she's like, she must have towered over. I didn't see the episode pass. She must have absolutely towered over the Karate Hottie. Karate Hottie's like 5'3", 115 pounds when she's fighting.
Yeah, but Paul, she's got mom mentality.
She does. She does have the mom mentality.
Don't back Mama Bear into a corner, pal.
Mamba mentality. All right, we got Muslim Salikhov taking on Jingliang Li, minus 160 Salikhov, plus 140 for Li. This one's an interesting one because obviously Muslim Salikhov is a guy who, he's the king of Kung Fu, his nickname. Yes, the king of Kung Fu, but every once in a while he mixes in the takedowns. And I think if we learned anything from Jingliang Li when he took on Chimaev, not that I'm saying that Salikhov is anywhere near Chimaev in terms of wrestling, but it's like that's a legitimate path. And Muslim Salikhov is able to mix in a couple takedowns against my boy Francisco Massaranduba Trinaldo. Mixed in 3 against Lariano Staropoli. I think Jingliang Li can really be exploited on the ground. I think it's relatively competitive on the feet. But I think Salikhov, if he can mix in those takedowns, steal rounds, make it a little bit greasy in that respect, I think he covers his price at minus 160. So he's my pick. What's yours?
Yeah, I don't know. I got some hesitancy this one. I'm kind of leaning towards the other way with Jingliang Li, but for really no good reason. I mean, it's more theory than anything. Muslim Salikhov, excellent striker. I mean, he's the Kung Fu master for a reason. He stays to the outside. He picks his shots, and he picks his shots excellent. He's got big power. He's known for getting a lot of knockdowns. And the guy's, I think he's got 3 knockdowns in the UFC. Strong physical guy, right? Here's the thing. So he's 38 years old, okay? 38 years old. They book him. This is dating back a little bit here, but they book him to fight Claudio Silva, 2020. Pulls out of a fight with Claudio Silva. Significant to me because Claudio Silva is the quintessential bum. In fact, James Krause took the fight on a week's notice, moved up a weight class, and beat him. So the fact that he pulled out of that fight, he was obviously really aching. They rebook him in a fight with Santiago Ponzinibbio, and he's got lingering COVID effects. See, he pulled out of a fight with Nico Price due to COVID. The event got canceled. Apparently, he had COVID. Then he pulls out of the Claudio Silva fight. I'm speculating it's a bad injury, because why else would you pull out of that? But then a few months later, they book him. 3 months later, they book him against Santiago Ponzinibbio at UFC on ABC 1. Salikhov withdrew due to ongoing COVID-19 symptoms. So essentially, his lungs are fried, right? And so he needs some time. He gets back going. He gets the Francisco Trinaldo fight, and he actually looked quite good in the Trinaldo fight. But for the record, he's low volume, 62 significant strikes landed, stays to the outside for the most part, not great. Go back and watch the Zaleski fight, sorry. He loses the first 2 rounds. I'm not sure in what world he won that fight. I think 12 of 14 media members scored the fight for Zaleski, and 4 of them had it 30-27, and Fight Metric had Zaleski dos Santos outstriking him 2 of the 3 rounds fairly comfortably, but overall 46-40. So he squeaks by in a split decision where he does not look good. All of his other wins are over guys that are low level. Staropoli's cut, Nordine Taleb's cut, Ricky Rainey's cut, Alex Garcia's cut. These guys are no longer with the promotion. He beats them, right? But for the most part, he's not jumping up. So now he gets all these COVID issues. Beating Francisco Trinaldo looks good on paper because he's a big name guy. But Francisco Trinaldo is a career 55er that got hustled to go up to 170 because he can't make 55 anymore. Was having bad weight cuts. Is in his 40s. Is not the man he used to be. And Salikhov just stayed to the outside and chewed him up. Well, that's fine. The guy's 5'9". He's not all that big. Jingliang Li's 6 feet tall. He's big, he's strong, he's physical. And again, if you want to look at, I hate always looking at just the numbers, but by the numbers, Salikhov's 40 strikes landed against Dos Santos over 15 minutes, right? 63 against Staropoli. Staropoli's not good. 62 landed against Francisco Trinaldo, who's in his 40s, 5'9", lumbering, standing in front of him. Whereas Jingliang Li brings you an absolute war for the most part. Comes at you, beats a lot of these guys. Here's a crazy stat, because Jingliang Li might get knocked out, but he might not. He got dropped by Keita Nakamura, who's got pillow hands. He got knocked down twice against Jake Matthews, not known for his striking. He got knocked down against Bobby Nash. He got knocked down against David Zawada. Like, he's been knocked down 5 times in the UFC. He's never been knocked out in the UFC, right? The guy is the leech, right? You got to choke him out. He's been submitted twice. But Kazmat Chimaev is on a different level, you know? The fight with Keitaro back in the day, Keitaro was a savvy vet of the game that just caught him in a bad spot late in the 3rd round. But generally, he comes at you and he puts a pace on guys, right? And I think that pace could pay dividends down the road. He's got higher output, higher numbers. You make a great point about Muslim Salikhov just taking him down, because that would be a path to exploit. But 1, Salikhov ain't no Chimaev. 2, if he does take him down, it's going to drain his gas tank. And I don't think his cardio is great to begin with. And 3, how does this kung fu master, great striker guy just suddenly turn into a spam wrestler because the opportunity's there? Yeah, I think Jingliang Li could be the leech and leech on him and just suck him dry until his energy reserves are running on low, and then either put him away or perhaps steal 2 of the 3 rounds. So I think I'm going to take another underdog shot here on the leech, but something I don't have a ton of confidence in, I'll readily admit.
I think being like, well, he's not Chimaev, so I don't know if you can take. I feel like that's a little disingenuous. You go through his career, David Michaud took him down 3 times. Nordine Taleb took him down twice.
That, you know, this is a long time.
Okay, so now you want to go more recent. Neil Magny took him down 4 times.
Neil Magny's a stud and an excellent grappler. You know, that guy was a fringe top 7 or 8 guy in the division for 5 years.
Salikhov took down Trinaldo twice, which is impressive to me.
Trinaldo.
Nobody takes down Trinaldo, and he whooped your boy Danny Roberts last time.
I feel like remember that Shuey bet, but I also don't have any faith in this fight.
You want to do a Shuey? I'll take Salikhov.
I don't, but I feel like I should because.
Oh, okay.
You know what? Let's do a Shuey bet. Russia versus China. Let's get it.
All I had to do is bring up like a past Shuey bet with Trinaldo. Absolutely smashing your boy Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts.
Yeah, goddamn Roberts. Probably the most untrustworthy guy going.
All right. We got Sumudaerji taking on Matt Schnell. Minus 270 Sumudaerji. Plus 230 Schnell. I think Sumudaerji is about to knock this guy out early in this fight. But, I mean, the line is super, super wide. All of a sudden, the books are just, they're backing up the bus on Sumudaerji. And and it's what is it really based off of? Like, it doesn't really make all that much sense. The Manel Cap fight didn't happen. Like, it's weird because, he was a pretty sizable underdog against Cap. He's got his win by decision over Zaruk Adashev, and now he's minus 270 against Schnell, but he hasn't really done anything since January of 2021. So the line definitely does seem a little bit out of hand. We've been waiting on Matt Schnell. We've been waiting on that chin to get exposed again. Brandon Royval was able to choke him last time out, but I think that chin issue is still there. Sumudaerji by knockout. Sumudaerji round 1. Let me look up those props while you tell me what you think of this fight.
Okay, I swear I'm going to stop spamming underdogs at some point, but I think I'm leaning towards Matt Schnell. A lot of what Paul was saying about the uncertainty of Sumudaerji, but let's keep this in mind. So Sumudaerji debuts in the UFC against Louis Smolka. Louis Smolka took him down like nothing and absolutely smashed him on the ground. He had no resemblance of a ground game. Louis Smolka completely styled upon him. His next fight against Andre Sukumantath is a one-dimensional striker. So, of course, you can go out and strike with him. And he does go out and strike with him. It's not a super convincing win, but he does outwork him and land some good shots and good to him striking back. Now, with Malcolm Gordon is not a wrestler, does have some jiu-jitsu, but doesn't really have that ability to just take a guy down if need be. And also, the fight's done before it gets started. Sumudaerji just sparks him out at 44 seconds. That's the end of it. No grappling, You have no idea if this man's improved in the slightest bit. He's now just shown you that he can strike and is long, rangy southpaw with a nice left hand down the middle. Okay, we know that stuff about him. Can he grapple? So they match him up with Zaruk Adashev. Well, see, Zaruk Adashev's 5'5", former Glory kickboxer, one-dimensional, cannot wrestle, no grappling chops. He's not going to go out there and test that. But the last time we saw Sumudaerji on the ground was against Louis Smolka, taken down relatively easy, absolutely battered on the ground. Here's an interesting note. That was for his fourth pro loss. His other pro losses, you wonder, Hao Bin Ma choked him out in the second round, Abdullah Aliyev choked him out in the second round, and Yusuke Ushera submitted with an armbar in the first round. So all four of his pro losses have been by submission. 2 of them in the first round, 2 of them in the second round. He's been thoroughly outclassed on the ground. The UFC then matched him up with 3 strikers. He's excelled in those fights. Now he's a minus 270 favorite over Matt Schnell.
Yeah, the line's super
wide.
wide.
Based on what? Based on, the line. Could he knock out Schnell? For sure. 270. God damn.
Your boy Schnell can't wrestle. He doesn't take anybody down.
Fair. So Schnell's a bit of an anomaly to me because, of course, we know he doesn't have a chin, and you and I bring it up all the time. He gets knocked out by Rob Font. He gets knocked out by Hector Sandoval on like a light shot that landed lopside the head. He got knocked out by Alexander Pantoja. So it's like this guy can't take a punch. But to his credit, I fully said on the preview show he'd get punched out by Tyson Nam. Chin held up pretty good. The Rogerio Bontorin fight, Bontorin missed weight by like 6 pounds. I think it's a no contest on Sherdog now. I got like overturned due to like a drug. I don't know what happened. But anyways, dude heavily missed weight. Fight went to decision. He took all of the shots. And then the Brendan Royval fight, he beat the crap out of Royval standing. He drops him. He hurts him. He dives on top of him. Boom. He transitions to a leg lock. Boom. He starts to scramble. Boom. He catches him in a guillotine choke. Bad luck. But his striking looked way better. His chin has looked way better. He has not been knocked out effectively since the Pantoja fight, which was 3 years ago. His grappling, good. He got submissions off his back against Louis Smolka and Jordan Espinoza, both with triangles. I believe he's BJJ black belt. He spent a long time at ATT, no longer there. I think he's back closer down to like Texas, Louisiana, spent a little time at Fortis. His grappling's good. His striking is really not all that bad. And yeah, MMA is a game of, is your wrestling good enough to take down the other guy? The other guy's 26. Doesn't really seem like he can grapple. And the fight might just hit the ground at some point. If it does, it's a big advantage for Schnell. So he's got the experience, he's got the grappling, he's got the what ifs. And with Sumudaerji, it's not that he's a nice looking prospect, but at 26, he's still young, he's still green. His 4 losses are all by submission, and he's shown you nothing on tape to suggest that he's shored up those holes in his game. So minus 270 is the thing that a younger Cody would have been like, he's going to knock out Schnell because Schnell's so chinny. I would have. And at 270, he's probably higher up on the tickets. And then come Saturday night, the fight hits the ground and he gets locked up in a triangle. And oh shit, I should have saw that one coming, right? He hasn't grappled in a while. And he's a bad grappler. Damn, that was a bad bet. I don't want to make the bad bet. I want him to try to sniff it out ahead of time. So it's not like Schnell's on your top ticket now because we love him. No. He's probably down at the bottom, but we're not going to take the bite on the 270 in this spot. So sign me up for my 3rd straight underdog, but then get ready for some favorites.
Yeah, I'm not taking minus 270. If you like where Cody's mind's at, because he's getting, Sumudaerji got subbed by absolute scrubs on the regional scene. I mean, Schnell by submission is 8-1. And like pretty much every single book has him at 8-1 right now. So you can go out there and you can scoop that. If you think along my mind that like Sumudaerji's going to catch that chin and probably knock him out, I think on Prize Picks, fantasy,
I have the pick.
Fantasy score over 94.5 would be the play in that spot.
But what's the price on Sumudaerji first round KO?
Sumudaerji round 1.
KO specifically, not the
round 1 KO plus 250. There's a plus 320.
Oh, shit, that's it.
There's a plus
really?
320 out there. No,
yeah,
like everyone, the writing's on the wall. It's like he either cracks that chin or he doesn't.
Shit, yeah, first round. That's disrespect to Schnell. I guess 270. They're already disrespecting him. What's
no, they've been disrespected. Yeah, he's getting disrespected at this number against a completely unproven prospect, who I still think is probably going to knock him out. But yeah, the price is scaring me right off of the ledge, so I'm not going to even fight with you all that much about that one. We got Shane Burgos taking on Charles Jourdain, minus 175. Burgos a plus 150. Jourdain, what's your take here, bud?
This is another spot I'll probably get burned on, but I'm going to go with the favorite, Shane Burgos. I mean, Jourdain, either he's catching luck or the guy actually is a lot better than I give him credit for, but just like his super wild style of getting into these crazy exchanges with guys and then making it happen for him, it's going to wear down on him at some point. Shane Burgos is an absolute unit. Generally moves forward, generally throwing a very, very high volume of strikes. And that's what Jourdain likes to do as well. I mean, he generally likes to have these aggressive scraps where it's very high output, high volume. And whereas most of the guys he's been fighting haven't really been able to match that, I think Shane Burgos should be able to. Now, Burgos could be potentially a little bit chinny because he's been wobbled or knocked out a few times. Calvin Kattar, Kurt Holloway, Josh Emmett twice, Edson Barbosa. Of course, we've seen the guy get hurt and wobbled. But I think as long as he does not get knocked out, then that just forward momentum is going to carry him. I mean, the dude lands a sickening 193 significant strikes against Billy Q, scraps him the entire time. It's a war. Even in the losses, him versus Edson Barbosa, 1-1 going into the third, he did get caught. Him versus Josh Emmett, I thought he was winning. Yeah, maybe not winning, but it was a close tit-for-tat fight. He outstruck him according to the numbers. Unfortunately for him, the two knockdowns were kind of what sealed those rounds for Emmett, and he doesn't come through with it. But I mean, again, the fight with Cub Swanson, 134 significant strikes landed over a course of 15 minutes. It's ungodly. So I think that's going to be a lot of it here. He's just going to mad dog him backwards. He does have a wrestling advantage, but of course, Burgos never wrestles. So I don't think he's going to try to take Jourdain down. And Jourdain, meanwhile, has been obviously working on his grappling. He was a guy that liked to be opportunistic submission guy where he would just throw up arm bars, he'd throw up guillotines, he'd throw up whatever. And then when he came to the UFC, got away from it a little bit. But of course, does catch Lando Venana's last time out with the guillotine choke. Shows that he still got it. I don't think Burgos is going to give him an opportunity to grapple. I think he's just going to smother him, move him backwards, cause him to fight off his back foot, cause him to fight with his back up against the cage. This is going to be a scrap. This is going to be a war. If you have a book that offers the kind of thing like Fight of the Night, this is a Fight of the Night candidate. And the least that they always give you is plus 600 on these Fight of the Night candidates because there's 11 other fights on the card. So not a bad look. I think it's going to be an absolute scrap. Burgos could get knocked out. We need to recognize that. He fights reckless. He fights dangerous. He's fighting a guy that's likely going to do the same thing. But of course, when you look at Burgos, Emmett is potentially the next title challenger. Edson Barbosa is a former top 5 guy of the division for a long time. Cub Swanson, a former top guy in the division. Calvin Kattar, a guy that's right at the top of the division. That's elite level competition. And you see him go out there and have some excellent performances, sometimes come up shy. Jourdain, meanwhile, is more like a flavor du jour. His last 4 fights show Andre Ewell. Oh, shit, he beat Andre Ewell and then lost to Julian Erosa. That's not a good look. The Marcel Rojo fight. Rewatch that. It is close, man. He puts him away in the third and just turns up the levels to the next gear. But Burgos has another gear. So trying to drown him in the third, probably not going to be as effective. So it's a scrap. We can all recognize it's a scrap. If you're leaning towards underdog because you think this is going to be a chaotic striking battle, Jourdain's got as much opportunity to clip Burgos as Burgos has to clip Jourdain. That's fine. But at this point, I've rolled enough underdogs. I think I'm going to lean back towards a favorite here and take Hurricane Shane.
I totally agree. Not even going to add anything to it. All right, we got Miesha Tate taking on Lauren Murphy. Minus 190 for Miesha Tate, plus 165 for Murphy. This fight's taking place at 125 pounds. Which is interesting. Very interesting. Miesha Tate, if you like Tate, I don't. Especially at minus 190, but I feel like you should be monitoring those weigh-ins really closely. Like, I was heavy on Miesha Tate against Marion Renault because, when I bet it was like a month out from the fight, and it was like a pick'em. I was just like, wait a second. Marion Renault is a 45-year-old gym teacher, and it looks like Miesha Tate's in pretty good shape and making her return. Marion Renault hadn't won a fight in 4 years leading into that. I feel like at this line, I know it's, women's MMA, close fight. I think strength for strength, they're probably going to be pretty close. Murphy's decent on the feet. Is Miesha Tate just going to be able to muscle her and hold her down and take her down? Maybe. Shevchenko was doing that last time out, but that's the champion in the division. I think it's a very, very clear dogger pass. Lauren Murphy for me. What about you?
Yeah, no, I got to go the other way on this one as well and take Miesha Tate. As far as the 125 goes, I'm not super worried about it. This is going to sound real stupid, but you guys shouted out the challenge earlier. Well, my wife likes to watch Big Brother. So there's Celebrity Big Brother, and Miesha Tate happens to be on it. And the whole time she's in this house, covered by cameras 24/7, trying to win these challenges. By the way, she ended up dominating the household in all of the challenges, but the entire time she just basically cutting weight, staying in wicked shape. And the house guests would be like, I don't know how she does it. This girl is just like nonstop working day and night. She's the only one that would monitor a diet. She's the only one that would keep tasks. She had a fight booked with Lauren Murphy. So the show ends, and the fight with Lauren Murphy got rescheduled 2 months later. So now it gets rescheduled 2 months later, and Lauren Murphy tested positive for COVID. So now they've bumped it back 2 more weeks, and now it's taking place. But like, she's had this idea in her head for a long time now. Juliana Pena is my friend. I'm not going to fight her at 135 pounds. My best path is to go down to 125. And to be honest, when you see the big, strong physicality that a lot of these girls have at 135, Miesha probably is better suited for 125, truth be told. So yes, monitor the weight cut, but she's so professional, keeps herself in great shape. Only one thing that could screw it up, she's got some enhancements, right? So those are going to weigh you down. You know, if you were real serious about making the 125, you know, you probably wouldn't have shot up 2 sizes. But I'm also not one to complain about stuff like that. So let's just shake it out of her head and move on to how she approaches this fight with Lauren Murphy. Lauren Murphy likes to grind, absolute. She's a quintessential grinder, pin you up against the cage, dirty boxing, shuffle uppercuts, and just trying to bruise you over the course of 15. But she likes to use that physicality to pin you up against the cage. Against Miesha Tate, it's going to be a problem. Listen, she's used to fighting at 135 against the best girls in the division. Holding her up against the cage, probably not going to be likely. Ketlin Vieira, have you seen the size of her? She is gigantic. And yet Miesha Tate puts up 122 significant strikes, a takedown, fights her tooth and nail with a broken nose.
That was one of those fights, though, Cody, that those stats, that's like one of those fights that like stats lie, because it's just like the significant strikes that Miesha was landing were nowhere comparable to what Ketlin Vieira was doing.
What I'm saying is her face is shattered. She's fighting a much larger opponent for 25 minutes, tries to bring the fight to her as much as she can, gets beat up the entire time, but again, try to push a pace. Not competitive, lost that fight, but against an elite fighter at 135 pounds. Against, you know, the Marion Renaults of the world, they're known for their grappling. Marion Renault was a BJJ black belt. She was strong. She was physical, PA teacher, right? Rugged if need be. But against Miesha Tate, it's just like, yeah, there's a size and strength discrepancy there. There's better wrestling there. Against Lauren Murphy, much of the same. I'd give the wrestling advantage to Miesha Tate. I'd give the strength battle to Miesha Tate. I'd give that all that clinch warfare probably favors Miesha Tate. As far as the distance striking goes, it favors Miesha Tate. Lauren Murphy flops out a jab. She pulls out a jab, looks to close up the distance, get a hold of you, and just sling you with the right hand. But Miesha's a little more in and out. She uses her footwork a little better. She uses a jab. I could see Murphy just trying to bully her the way Ketlin Vieira did. Yes, that's the way to do it. Bully this pretty girl up. Cause her to move backwards. Try to pin her up against the cage. Try to bust her up. As pretty as she is, she got a big schnoz, and it's been broken a few times. So maybe that's something you do. Try to rough her up a little bit. But that being said, it's like, I don't think she's as big and strong and physical as those other girls. And it's a 15-minute fight. So even if Miesha got clipped and took a little damage at some point, I think 15 minutes, she should be able to push a decent enough pace to get the job done. So nobody loves it at minus 125. Women's MMA, I did go the other side on the earlier women's MMA bout. But yeah, I got to go with Cupcake Tate. I know what the UFC is trying to do.
It ain't minus 125,
they've got an instant title challenger.
It's not minus 125. I don't know where you're getting that.
I said minus 195.
Oh, did he say that, Pat? Yeah. Okay, my bad. I thought you said minus 125. He needs a new microphone. It's probably the microphone.
His microphone is fine. He needs the little extender, so it's by his mouth is the problem.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just blaming me not being able to listen to to try to troll you a little bit. All right.
No, it's all good. Listen, Miesha's the 2-1 favorite. It's women's MMA. Pat's theory is fade them all. I think if he faded both of them, yeah, maybe he's got a good chance of cashing one. And if he cashes one of, then he's going to be fine on his bets. But I took one underdog already. This one, I think the matchup does favor Tate. The last thing I want to say is they are literally starved for challengers at 125 pounds. They've tried everybody. They've thrown Jessica Ai in there. They've thrown everybody F. Shevchenko. She's defeated them all, right? They even threw Lauren Murphy in there, who, by the way, absolutely got blasted out of there and landed 11 significant strikes, taken down 3 times. Not a positive effort. Miesha Tate is a former champion. She's a star. She's got some name cachet even outside of the UFC. It's an obvious fit that they're trying to get her one single win at 125 pounds, and then she will fight Shevchenko in an immediate title fight. This is a foregone conclusion. So who's the girl at 125 that we can give her that doesn't pose as many problems? And she's probably been consulted about this. Lauren Murphy is who they chose. I'm riding with that. So give me Miesha Tate.
Yep, I guess, these narratives kind of make sense, but I think it's a dog or pass situation. I don't know if I'm going to get there from a betting perspective. We'll see where the number goes. I'll wait until weigh-ins before I do anything on that fight. We have Puna Soriano taking on Dalcha Lungiambula. Puna minus 240, Lungiambula plus 205. Really tricky spot here because I don't really trust either one of these guys. Dalcha, oh my God, man. He was absolutely killing Cody Brundage. Absolutely murking the guy. But it's like he had, in terms of like fighting at that pace, trying to like absolutely murder somebody, he had about a minute of cardio and falls into the submission. That's all she wrote. Puna is at least durable. He hits hard. I understand why he's the favorite, but like minus 240 on this guy seems incredibly steep. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like after the stunt that Dalcha pulled against Cody Brundage last time out, it's like I don't think I could ever bet this guy ever again. Like it was just so ugly. But yeah, I mean, both of these guys. I think what's happened here, Cody, is that both of these guys have broken my damn heart in multiple fights at this point. That like I don't even want to say dog or pass because it's just a straight up pass. But I guess for the purposes of this show, I will pick Puna Soriano, but I won't touch this fight with my money with a 10-foot pole. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to have to largely be inclined to agree, although the pick will be Soriano as well. But Dalcha Lungiambula, just so physically strong at this weight class that it's like, obviously he's got power and obviously he clips you. You're going to be in a lot of trouble. He's also, I believe, a judo black belt. Takedown defense shouldn't be all that bad. Physically ripped up. He just makes mistakes in there, and his mistakes tend to cost him fairly dearly. His last two, I guess, the Marc-Andre Barrios fight is close. It really is. He gets a couple takedowns in the mix. Barrios throwing up crazy volume. And even though Dalcha is completely gassed out, he showed heart because he fought through it the entire time. It's just the volume overtook him eventually. Not a terrible performance by no stretch of the imagination, but it does show his limitations as a fighter. The fight with Cody Brundage, he puts a big beating on Brundage, as you said, and then Brundage catches him in the guillotine choke. So was he on his way to having a great performance and got caught, or was he completely gassed out and made a mistake? That's also possible. He threw a lot of punches in that first round. So, yeah, he's untrustworthy. I mean, we just don't know where he's at. He's a little bit older. He's not much of a wrestler. He's just a power puncher, a guy that's going to sit down his punches and try to line you up. And then the thing with Soriano is that, he has not been knocked out. And, in fact, in the Brendan Allen fight, he got teed up on. Like, Brendan Allen was hitting him clean across the kisser. He was gassed 5 minutes into the Allen fight and then spent a better bit of 10 minutes just getting punched on. But his chin looked pretty good. The Maximov fight, Soriano was a former collegiate wrestler, I believe, in Hawaii, maybe a state champion in Hawaii, I think. And he comes over and now he's taking on Maximov, who's a former junior college American. Well, they're both American.
Yeah, I know. I tried to sell people on that when I was like backing up the Brinks truck against Maximov, and I didn't see this high school wrestling champion in that spot. It was very disappointing.
Very disappointing. He got taken down 11 times by Nick Maximov. And even though it's a competitive fight in the sense that Maximov don't land anything, at least Soriano lands a couple chipping shots. Like he gets controlled. He gives up 11 takedowns. That's not how you win a fight. So now he's coming into this fight as an untrustworthy guy. We don't like his wrestling. We don't love his striking. We don't love his cardio. He's got a tendency to lean forward. He's flat-footed. You know what his problem seems like? He's still green, 29, and has enough MMA fights to not be making these kind of mistakes. Trains at Extreme Couture. I'm sure that they're telling him all this shit. He doesn't need a guy like me. But, like, he seems to be in either wrestle mode or striking mode. And when he's in wrestling mode, he leans forward and tries to strike with the lean forward, as if he's thinking in his head, I can strike and wrestle from this stance. As a result, he's flat-footed, and you'll notice his head's either up in the air or he's just hovering forward, crouched forward. So he gets teed up on. Brandon Allen was able to just move around him, beat him up, tire him out, and not put him away, but put a beating on him. Nick Maximov used a wrestling strategy. What strategy would Dalcha use? Not a wrestling strategy, but he's probably going to just slug away at this guy. And if Soriano's defensively not all that sound and he's going to sit there and take the shots, it'd be competitive. It'd be competitive enough that you wouldn't really want a Soriano minus 240 tag. But because he hasn't been knocked out, because he does train at a world-class team, world-class facility in Las Vegas with some of the best guys in the world, I have a tendency to believe that these are all learning mistakes for him. You learn from the Brandon Allen fight. You learn from the Nick Maximov fight. His cardio looked better than the Maximov fight, considering the amount of grappling was going into it. So if he shows up here with a better gas tank, his durability is still in check. He weathers a bad early first round from a Lungiambula. I think he should be able to put it together. Minus 240, it's the kind of price tag that would suggest we want this guy higher up on the ranks, but we don't. We want this guy mid-range, maybe he's on the third line, maybe he's on the fourth line, but nothing higher than that, even though he's a fairly big price tag.
I will tell you what the play is here there, Cody. Soriano under 1.5 takedowns. Dalcha, judo guy, strong hips, very, very strong. He's never been taken down 2 times. And he took on... Dalcha took on... so he's got taken down once by Brundage, and that was almost not even really a takedown in the same respects. That was a kind of weird scramble type of thing. Ankalaev took him down once. That's it, man. Nobody really takes him down. He's like built like a fire hydrant. Very, very hard to take down. And I'm not buying into this Hawaiian. If he shows up with a singlet and all of a sudden he's just spamming takedowns, then, I lose my prize pick. But I think under 1.5 takedowns on Soriano, I think that'll be probably lined at 1 by the time we get to fight night. They will definitely move that. I would imagine, because I just don't really see Soriano being some sort of stud wrestler. Like, he hasn't really showed us any reason to believe that at this point in his career. All right, we got Jack Shore taking on Ricky Simone. Jack Shore is a minus 170 favorite. Simone could be had for plus 145. I was pretty impressed with Jack Shore last time out.
Were you?
I had faded him.
A great fight. But...
No, but like I had faded him. I took him Timur Valiev as a slight underdog in that situation. I think Timur Valiev, who just lost his job for no other reason except for the fact that he just probably isn't very marketable and gets paid too much. He gets paid too much for the amount of clicks, yada, yada, yada. The world that we live in, that's just the way it is. But I thought I had really, really underestimated Jack Shore's striking. I thought he was a lot better on the feet than I kind of had anticipated. I thought Timur Valiev, if he was able to keep the fight standing, would absolutely crush those exchanges. And it wasn't like that at all. It was pretty competitive. He's obviously coming around quite a bit in his career. Both guys fancy themselves grapplers here. And I can't ever get it out of the back of my mind, Cody, when Ricky Simone showed up against Uriah Faber and just got belted once in the face and then he was done. I mean, he's definitely improved leaps and bounds since then. He's been putting on great performances, finishing Rafael Assunção last time out. That is no easy work whatsoever. His wrestling is elite as well. A lot of information should be kind of revealed early on in terms of how these wrestling exchanges work out between the two of these guys. But if it stays on the feet, Shore is a little bit longer. I think he kind of punches a little bit longer too. I think he's the rightful favorite. And yeah, that's what I'm sticking with. What about you?
Yeah, much of the same. I think I just go back to the fact that maybe Ricky Simone's a little bit chinny. But listen, Jack Shore, I'm team Jack Shore. This is my guy. He rolls into the UFC, and I'm just praising the name Jack Shore. And then he runs into Timur Valiev. The Timur Valiev fight was way too close. He loses the first round. There's a good argument he may have lost the first 2 rounds. In the 3rd round, he turns it on. He scores multiple knockdowns. He gets caught in a guillotine choke, but he puts a beating on him. Is the 3rd round a 10-8? I don't know. Did he win the first round? No. Did he win the 2nd round? Super close. Razor edge. Could go either way. We get the decision. We're happy with it. But, I mean, it was a lot of tight spots. You go back 2 fights before that, the Hunter Azer fight. He uses his wrestling extremely effectively. He's able to take down Hunter Azer, but his striking is nowhere to be found in that fight. In fact, he got outstruck by Hunter Azer, who's been released and is no longer with the promotion. So he's 16-0. He's undefeated. He's a work in progress. He's got a lot of skills, but you got to somewhat taper off expectations at some point. Well, I thought I was lucky to get the Timur Valiev win, although he showed glimpses of brilliance against a very tough opponent. It was greasy. It was a close fight, Paul. Close fight. So now minus 170 against Ricky Simone. somewhat does have me a little bit nervous, just because Ricky Simón brings a different kind of fight than most guys. He just has an ability to wear on you and just shoot multiple takedowns. Look at his last number. He took Ray Borg down 7 times. That Gaetano Perello bum 7 times. Brian Kelleher 6 times. Rafael Assunção, his last time out, he got 2 takedowns and, of course, put him away with a second-round TKO. His striking has looked very much improved. I mean, you can tell that that's something he's working a lot on. He's moving his head a little bit more. His footwork's improved. He's got a nice little right hand that he's been utilizing. I feel like Ricky Simón is improving. He's got wrestling. He's got world-class conditioning. He's a dangerous opponent. So Jack Shore's got to stuff the takedowns, keep it in the open range, and I think he does clip him. Like, not only did Ricky Simón get knocked out by Uriah Faber, but if you go back to his other loss prior to that on Titan FC against that Anderson Dos Santos, he just gets whizzed by a shot and it just falls to the ground. Buddy jumps on him and submits him. His chin is not that good. And what he's been able to do against Ray Borg, who's a 125er moving up a weight class, undersized, grappler, no punching power. Gaetano Perello was a Belgium striker, but was not good. You know, like, this guy's not going to do anything to you. Just take him down at will, which he did. Put him away, which he did. And Brian Kelleher could hit you with the right hand, but he's not really known for his striking and not really known for his power. He's known for getting taken down and beaten up by younger, more hungry prospects, which he did. And Rafael Assunção is like, is he 40 yet? He's near 40. He's had a lot of injuries, and he ain't the guy he used to be. So, yeah, those guys weren't going to clip him. But if Jack Shore stuffs the takedowns and keeps it standing, he is going to clip him. So I'm going to take Shore. I'm going to take Shore by knockout. But what I think I might be able to do...
Scores takedowns here?
Do I think Shore does?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't. He's an excellent grappler. No, I don't think he does. I think Ricky Simón stuffs the takedowns. He's an excellent wrestler. This goes back to Shore's got that Welsh, excellent judo, excellent wrestling, is a good wrestler. But Ricky Simón's got that hard, grinding American style. The other thing is Ricky Simón's, he's a midget. You know what I mean? He's 5 foot. Well, maybe that's an offensive term. If it is, just bleep it out, Pat. Sorry about that. He's 5'6", not exactly the biggest guy going. So he's got a low center of gravity. The last time he got taken down, I guess he got taken down once by Rob Font, although he took him down 6 times. He got taken down twice by Montel Jackson, although he took him down 7 times. Merab Dvalishvili got him down 6 times, but that's considered very low for Merab Dvalishvili. And straight up, he was going to lose that fight to Merab, but caught him with like the stupidest guillotine choke with like 0 seconds left. I lost a lot of money. But those are the bounces of MMA that you can't foresee coming. What I am getting at is Ricky Simón's a tough customer. He's got good wrestling. He's got improved striking. He's got good pace. He's got good cardio. The pick is going to be Jack Shore. But low-key, pre-fight, of course, Jack Shore, minus 170. But I'm going to have an eye on that live betting market. If Ricky Simón maybe wins the first round, grinds him up against the cage, evades a lot of his tactics, but Jack Shore can largely keep the fight standing, and maybe I'm offered a better price going to the second and the third, and I know, I can stuff these takedowns. Yeah, it's going to be a matter of time before he stuffs one, clips him with something. So give me Jack Shore. But I started off this whole show, right, by saying this was a card that had me nervous in all types of spots. The favorites you like are greasy. The dogs that you like are greasy. This is a greasy card. It's going to be tight. I got Shore, but I'm struggling to find the real big confidence that I would rather have.
Yeah. Okay, well, I will say, it's little persons, Cody. I thought you'd be more sympathetic as somebody from a horse racing family. Like, come on.
For the record, I'm 5'8.5". So to call somebody who's 5'6" a midget really doesn't make any sense. I'm not big myself. So yeah, I mean, forget. I was on a roll. I was pissed off. I was basically getting at Ricky Simón is got low center of gravity. He's one of these short, stout. I should have said stout. Stout's a better word.
He's very stout.
And that maybe if he can, well, the question was, can Jack Shore take him down? I said no, but I don't think Shore needs to take him down. I think
Shore's taking down everybody. I only asked because PrizePicks has him listed at 2 takedowns, which against Ludwig, or he got 2 the number. Timur Valiev, he got there 3 times. Hunter Azure, he took him down 6 times. I mean, he's at least gotten equal or above, but like you go through Ricky Simón, and it's been since 2018 since anybody got over that 2. Rob Font was able to take him down once, but otherwise nobody's taken him down in a while.
I'll give you this. I would take the over. I would take the over on that because it's 2, right? Which means if you got 3, you win. If you got 2, you got to push on it. But I will tell you this, right? Jack.
I think Soriano under 1.5 is much better than Shore over 2.
I agree. The only reason that I would take the over on Shore, even though I told you I don't see him taking down Ricky Simón, is because 2 is just a number. If Ricky falls to the ground for 2 seconds and pops back up, you're going to click one of them, right? Now Shore shows a mediocre 41% takedown accuracy in the UFC. How's that possible? He scores multiple takedowns all the time. Nolene Hernandez, 4 for 7, right? This Aaron Phillips, he goes 3 for 8. The next fight against Hunter Azer, he went 6 for 13, right? Ludovic Shalinian, he got 2, which is pretty low, but on 8 takedown attempts. So no, I don't think his wrestling is good enough to take down Ricky Simón. The thing is that he shoots a lot of takedowns. Yeah. And as I said earlier with Ricky Simón, when you look at his numbers, he'd been taken down twice and a couple times. He got taken down twice by Montel Jackson despite dominating. Why? Ricky got 7. Montel got 2 because it's a grappling match. It's a wrestling match. You take me down, I get up, I take you down. Same thing with the Donovan Freelo. He got 14, Donovan got 1. Merab Dvalishvili, Merab got 6, Ricky got 2.
Yeah, Merab's an athlete. They call him the machine for a reason. Like,
he's an absolute machine. Even Rob Font managed to take down Ricky once just because Ricky gets 6. He's looking to wrestle often. Eventually, there's going to be a spot to be like, you know what, I'm just going to try to take him down. But ultimately, he always pops back up and he gets right back on you. So this is wrestler versus wrestler, grappler versus grappler. It'd probably be 15 minutes, close, competitive, greasy, goes to the scorecards. Please don't screw me. Please don't screw me. Please don't screw me. And the MMA gods are getting you back for Jamie Malarkey last week, so they give it to Ricky Simón. Don't like that. But if Jack Shore can use his wrestling to stuff anything coming from Ricky Simón, keep the fight at distance, he's longer, he's rangier, he's got hot hands, and he'll clip him at some point. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Pat.
Yeah, I knew where you were going with that. I was looking at the same thing of the 2 because he'd never been below that number. But then I just looked at the next fight, and if you don't think this Herbert Burns guy gets like wasted in 30 seconds, like his over on takedowns looks like a lock to me. Based on numbers, I have no idea if that's true or not.
All right, well, we got Burns. Herbert Burns.
Hibbs.
Taking on Bill Algeo, minus 205 Algeo, plus 175 Burns. I'm investigating what Pat's talking about on this Prize Picks front. Cody, you take it away. I mean, you always like your boy Bill Algeo, but usually they're not making you pay minus 205 to play your boy Bill Algeo.
Yeah, bad price tag to be paying on Bill Algeo. And what you really do have to, you're getting a bad price tag on it regardless because they're looking at the last fight with Daniel Pineda, a fight where, you know, Herbert Burns, and everybody knows Herbert Burns, terrible gas tank, tends to quit when the going gets hard. And yeah, he fell apart against Daniel Pineda and got put in away. So they're looking at that. They're looking at the fact that it was 2 years ago. They're looking at the fact that he missed weight for that fight by 4 pounds. Yeah, why would you want anything to do with this guy? But he took that fight on like 2 weeks' notice, okay? Had a bad weight cut, missed weight by 4 pounds, and as a result showed up and did not look good. But him at his best, he does got good BJJ. Of course, he's Gilbert Burns' brother, and whereas it doesn't mean anything as Gilbert's good and Herbert's not, Gilbert's a guy that made a lot of improvements to his game, especially later on in his career. It was like maybe you can't write off Herbert completely. 34 years old, not old. Doesn't have a ton of wear and tear, but that being said, he took off the prime years of his career, and they did not look like prime years of his career. I always said this guy was getting lucky. He got mad lucky against my boy Nate Landwehr. The Evan Dunham fight, Evan Dunham was done at that point. It was a front kick up the middle, hurt him, and then he just falls to the ground, put him away. What you saw versus Pineda, that is who he is. But it was a bad weight cut. It was a fight on 2 weeks' notice. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But now we got a guy coming on. He was supposed to fight Alex Munoz, pulls out. They book him to fight Billy Q. He pulls out. Now on this fight, he was going to take that on this Hussein Ababov, and Bill Algeo had another opponent as well. Both their opponents got Billy Q was going to fight Bill Algeo. Billy Q's out. Hussein Ababov's out. So they just matched these guys together. So it's a bit of a short notice pairing for both of them. But I would have to see Herbert on the scales. I don't think he cuts weight well. This is his first fight in 2 years. He's 34 years old. He hasn't had to cut the weight. He was bad at cutting it to begin with. I'd like to see him on the scales. Bill, meanwhile, Bill's not physically strong. It's kind of a problem that's always ailed him. He's a BJJ black belt. He's got pretty good striking. I love his output. As you mentioned, he's my boy. I love me some Bill Algeo. That fight with Contender Series against Brendan Lucane, he lost, but he outstruck Brendan Lucane 147 to 111. Brendan Lucane, a PFL standout and a very talented fighter. He's got output for days. He takes a short notice fight against Ricardo Lamas, former UFC title challenger. Got taken down 5 times in that fight. Persevered, gave him a sticky go, showed us some credibility. But he got taken down 4 more times by Spike Carlisle. He got taken down 8 times by Ricardo Ramos. He got taken down twice against Joanderson Brito his last time out. His takedown defense is not very good.
Yes.
Again, this is a guy that wrestled in high school, but the difference between wrestling in high school and being decent at it and trying to transition to a level against these big, thick, gacked up Brazilian guys, like, yeah, they're going to peel you to the ground, at least early. So this is the benefit here. Bill Algeo is a minus 205 price tag. We're going to pick him, but we don't like it. But how's Bill going to win this fight? By taking Herbert into that second and third round. He'll get taken down early. I think he will. As Pat mentioned, the numbers on Herbert probably suggest he scores a few takedowns. And I think he's physically strong enough to get Bill down early. At that point, he'll just go to town with his BJJ. But Bill Algeo is a BJJ black belt. He's got excellent submission defense. And he's been in there with other BJJ black belts like Ricardo Ramos and Ricardo Lamas and Joanderson Brito. And none of these guys were submitting him. So I'm going to tell you, Herbert Burns is not going to submit him. And then he's going to gas himself out. And Bill Algeo is going to beat the crap out of him. Now, the minus 205 pre-fight don't look good.
Yeah, bet him
you
live.
Might be able to get a better price tag after the first round or somewhere into the first.
Unless Herbert Burns doesn't land any takedowns and just eats shots from range,
Bill's
which
gonna
is
just kick his
possible.
ass.
Which is possible. But yeah, over 1.5 takedowns for Herb is the play. I mean, Bill Algeo, you may love Bill Algeo, but the guy doesn't really pack much of a punch. He's not a potent finisher by any stretch of the imagination. His fights tend to go the distance or at least go late into fights. So it's like Herbert's game plan should very well be, I'm going to go in there, secure takedowns, and try to submit this guy. 1.5 seems very, very manageable. I'll lean towards Bill Algeo, but yeah, I'm not touching the minus 205. Moving on down, we got Dustin Jacoby taking on Da Jung. Minus 125 Jacoby, plus 105 Jung. What's your take here, bud?
Yeah, I'm kind of going back and forth in this one. Like, on one hand, Dustin Jacoby is a better striker, more polished, more refined, should be able to lean on that to get the job done. Where he sometimes lacks a little bit of power. I mean, yeah, he's got good low kicks, good volume, trains at altitudes. Cardio seems to be a lot better these days. His takedown defense has been a lot better these days. Holding him down has been a lot tougher these days. So I feel like there are improvements to Dustin Jacoby's game, but he still seems so limited to me, like just not somebody that I'd want a ton of investment in. You've seen him in a couple of these spots. You know, the fight versus Max Christian, he got dropped twice. He gassed out. He got outstruck. He robbed Max Christian. It was a bad look. The Young Kudalaba fight, he got taken down 9 times. Ended up being a draw, but, you know, just not a great performance. Him at his best, he's going to win this fight with his distance management and his superior striking. Him at his worst, not only could he get clipped because Dong Jung is a banger, but he could get taken down. Like, Dong Jung sneakily got some decent enough wrestling. And the thing with Jung is he's a bit of an anomaly to me. Against Kadis Ibragimov, he smokes him, right? Chokes him out in the 3rd round. It was a beatdown. And Kadis sucks. Against Mike Rodriguez, he knocks him out in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most guys just take Mike Rodriguez down and smother him for 15 minutes, but he blasts him in a minute. It was a beautiful shot. This guy's got some serious power. It's the Sam Alvey fight, which we'll talk about in a second. That's got me yoked. But the fights after that, William Knight took him down 8 times. Thick Willie earned the name Thick Willie.
He kept doing
he's as much muscle as you can fit in that frame. Go ahead.
Yeah. He kept doing the exact same takedown. He would just grab body lock and trip him.
Yeah,
outside
trip.
Boom. Over and over and over. Before you continue, I was just going to say Da Jung, unless he wants to kickbox with the kickboxer, over 2 takedowns. I'm locking that into Prize Picks.
Yeah, that's it. Why kickbox with the kickboxer? He showed in the William Knight fight that he could take him down, but beyond that, a lot of people will just look and be like, yeah, but dude, he landed 28 significant strikes with all those takedowns. But in actuality, he landed a ton of strikes. It's just none of them were deemed significant because they were just these short little shots from the top position, right? So could he take down Dustin Jacoby? Yeah, he actually could. Could he stand with Jacoby and spark him with something? Yeah, possible. I mean, he's coming off a win over Kennedy and Jacoby where he smashed him in the face with a series of elbows 3 minutes into the first and put him away. Kennedy had taken an ungodly beating against Carlos Ulberg and took it all. Kennedy showed last weekend that he's actually not that mad. But Dong Jung absolutely sparks him in 3 minutes because he's got some legit power. So with Dustin Jacoby, he tends to get hit. His chin's not great. His takedown defense is not great. His cardio is not great. He's got a lot of holes in his game, a lot of holes that Dong Jung could, in theory, potentially go out there and exploit. And so I got myself leaning towards it being a dog or pass.
Same here.
There's no dog money on this fight, but it's plus 105 Dong Jung. And I know I might regret it, because of the Sam Alvey fight. Let's just mention that one time here. So in the Alvey fight, his wrestling is rendered moot because Sam Alvey's got excellent takedown defense. Couldn't take him down. As a result, he's forced to exchange with him for a long time. Sam Alvey's got a great chin. So when you took his best weapons off the table, can't take this guy down, and my one-hitter quitter power is not going to put him away. He looks super one-dimensional, man. Like, he don't do a whole lot. He doesn't got a whole lot of variety to his game. So that leads me to believe if that was to happen here against Dustin Jacoby, Jacoby's he's a tactician from the outside. He's going to be able to clip him. He's going to be able to, work the leg kicks. He's going to have more variety. He's just a better, more refined, more polished kickboxer. But I'm chalking up to a dogger pass because I think the takedowns and the power are enough X factors to potentially swing it in Dong and Jung's favor.
Jung for you, Jung for me. We got Dwight Grant taking on Dustin Stoltzfus, minus 135. Dwight Grant, plus 115. Stoltzfus. Dwight Grant moving up to 185. Is that correct? This is a middleweight fight?
That is correct.
Interesting. I mean, he's pretty big. Like, he's got a big frame. He was probably killing himself. And, he's no spring chicken. And, he's older than me. So he's basically ancient. Maybe it was, getting knocked out by the Candy Man. He was maybe he had a bad cut coming into there. I don't exactly know, but he wasn't exactly a world beater at 170 pounds. Frankly, he really hasn't beaten anybody impressive, like of any impressive stat. Going to split decision against Stefan Sekulic, like, that's pretty rough. Stoltzfus has been, pretty mediocre as well. Three straight losses in the UFC. Isn't exactly, anything to be excited about. But at least he's been fighting at this weight class for a while. I think it's another dogger pass situation. Pat has a note. What's up, Pat?
Well, speaking into the microphone, don't put the hand in front of the microphone because then no one can hear you.
Okay. I frankly, it's dogger pass for me. I'm going to go Stoltzfus, the guy who actually fights at 185 pounds. Never been a Grant guy. He's low volume. So is Stoltzfus. This fight's just straight up ugly all the way around. But yeah, I'll go with the dog as a pick. I'm not going to be betting it. What about you, Code?
Yeah, I agree, man. I got this new policy. There's certain people I just cannot bet as a favorite, and so it becomes an automatic fade. It's been working the last two shows with heavyweights predominantly, but now we're going to try it at middleweight. There's no world that exists that I could ever pay a favorite money on Alan Baudot, and I told you that. Not going to happen, and it was a spam bet the other side, and, well, Alan Baudot found a way to lose against Josh Parisian. Now we go to last week. There's really just no world that exists anymore, right? Because I've learned my lesson that I would ever want to bet Jared Van Der as a favorite. The world just no longer exists. So we end up taking Chase Sherman as an underdog for no other reason than that, and he gets the job done. I am so done with Dwight Grant. There's no world that exists that I'm willing to pay minus 135, even though it's close enough to even. Just doesn't exist. So yeah, where does his talent lie? The guy's got like thundering power. He's got crushing, debilitating power. It carries him in his first couple fights. He knocks out Tyler Hill on the Contender Series, gets him a UFC contract, and right away, dude's a bust. He landed 25 significant strikes against Zach Otto over the course of 15 minutes. He's a massive favorite over Zach Otto, has this huge power, doesn't let it go, stands in front of him, looks to counter. The only thing he does is look to counter. And if you ain't leading the dance, he ain't countering. Terrible fight. He loses. Carlos Pedersoli, boom, there's the big power. First round knockout, clips him. It's on display. Alan Jourdain, the fight's super low output. He outstruck Alan Jourdain 38-24. It's a huge win considering Alan Jourdain is so credible, but I think Jourdain was worried about the power and he didn't let his hands go. And I don't know what to chalk it up to. It's a very bad fight, but that's a very credible victory. It's everything since then. The Daniel Rodriguez fight, he clips Rodriguez early. You see the big power. We know he has that. We know he has that early. It's a first round thing. Once it carries over past that, either he tires, either he gets gunshot. I don't know, but Rodriguez gets back up and puts a beating on him, knocks him down 3 times and knocks him out all in the span of 2 minutes and 7 seconds. It's a crazy 2-minute fight, but you see the limitations to Dwight Grant right in there. Since then, Paul, you're not really seeing the huge power. A little bit against Kandoshko, but against Stefan Sekulic, he outstruck him 49-33. It's low output. It's a terrible fight. He was a minus 200 favorite. He won a split decision. Did he deserve to win? Yes. But was it a greasy, close, dirty fight that was way closer than need be? Of course. It was not a good performance. Him versus Francisco Trinaldo. You tried to warn me. Yeah, you tried to warn
And that
me,
shouldn't have been a
'cause you
split.
like Francisco
Frankie,
Trinaldo.
Master
why
and
was it a split? He
Duba.
got
Master and
beat
Duba
up.
won that fight. Like, that's ridiculous.
100% Master and Duba won that fight. But what you see with Dwight Grant is he lost a split to Zach Otto. He won a split over Jourdain. He won a split over Stefan Sekulic, and now he just lost a split to Francisco Trinaldo. So his style of just sitting there not doing anything, and his opponents are worried about his power. Nothing's going on. Maybe they're generally contested as close fights, but there's just nothing going on. And if it's a high-level opponent, he fights them close. If it's a low-level opponent, he fights them close. But you're absolutely right. Your boy Trinaldo beats him fair and square. And, you cash an underdog shot on there. There's another reason why I'm just no longer in the Dwight Grant business. So then he fights Sergey Kondoshko. This, in theory, is a winnable fight for him because the guy doesn't figure to try to take him down. It's largely going to be a striking battle. Kondoshko likes to come forward with his Muay Thai, and he's vulnerable to counters. So Dwight Grant should be able to get his power off. He did score a knockdown. He also got knocked down twice, got thoroughly outstruck, and got knocked out in the second round. So finally, they give him the fight that he wants, the fight that he needs, and it also did not go good for him. So now they've said, hey, man, how would you like to jump up to 185 pounds? Now, it could be a situation where he doesn't have to cut any weight, and they were bad weight cuts, and he's a little bit older, and now all of a sudden he's going to go out and throw his hands. But I got a whole not a pint-sized portion. I got a whole full book video library of this guy not letting his hands go. So I can't all of a sudden think he's going to move up to 185 and be a banger. No. But what I can tell you is that power that he had at 170, it's not going to be as effective at 185 pounds. That's what happens. A heavy Sumudaerji is a power puncher at 125 pounds. Do you think this man would be able to knock out Jared Vanderaa with his best shot? No. Because Jared Vanderaa is a massive mountain of a man at 265. Guys like Chase Sherman need to knock him out. A 125er can have a lot of power for 125, but the more you move up, the less effective it's going to be. You see it all the time. These big power punchers move up. They don't have that same success. To me, Dwight Grant was only that, a power puncher. He's got no volume. He's got no pace. He's got no ring IQ. He's got no wrestling to fall back on. I think he's been at American Kickboxing Academy for the tenure of his career, but he seemingly made very few, if any, improvements whatsoever. And now he's quietly lost 3 of his last 4. They'll win a split decision over Stefan Sekulic, who's no longer with the promotion. And he's probably quietly on his way out unless he can make some magic happen at 185, which he's going to attempt to do. Dustin Stoltzfus, by no means a good talent, a guy that's likely on his way out as well. He's lost all 3 of his fights in the UFC. This is a do or die spot for him. The one thing that you could maybe give him is that guy goes the distance to Kyle Daukaus, shows that his defensive grappling, not terrible. The Rodolfo Vieira fight, he made it all the way to the 3rd round. He outstruck Rodolfo Vieira standing, stuffed a few takedowns, survived a couple bad spots, did get choked out, but he got choked out in the 3rd round. But the Gerald Mearshart fight, his offensive wrestling looked decent. Took Mearshart down 4 times. Had a lot of success on top. And then he blows it in the 3rd round in a fight that he's otherwise about to win. Mm-hmm. He blows it by submission. But here's the thing, right? Rodolfo Vieira, world-class BJJ, great submissions. Gerald Mearshart, the comeback kid, the comeback man, great submissions, right? Well, not on the level of Vieira, but good submissions. Dwight Grant don't got no submissions. So, I'm not as worried about Stoltzfus making a lapse on the ground. I would think Stoltzfus, being the actual 85er, goes and tries to grapple with Dwight Grant, try to take this man down. He shows takedown defense of 68%, but he got taken down by the Candyman Kondoshko. He got taken down by Francisco Trinaldo, who's into his 40s and smaller than him, definitely in stature. He got taken down 3 times by Stefan Sekulic, who's not good. He got taken down by Carlo Pedersoli. He got taken down by Jourdain. He got taken down by Zach Otto. His takedown defense is actually not that good, right? So if I'm Dustin Stoltzfus, my back's up against the wall, and I know that the only thing this guy's got is razor-sharp counters and some decent power, why would I stand in front of him? No. You need to push the pace on him, tire him out, grab him, rip him to the ground, and if you're able to do that, he's going to set up shop and win rounds. So I'm also going to go with what you're going with and take Dustin Stoltzfus.
Finally, we've got Emily Ducote taking on Jessica Penne, minus 150 for Ducote, plus 130 Penne. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, this will probably absolutely torch me, and it's the first fight of the card, so just like Ronnie Lawrence last week, but I think Emily Ducote could be a too good to be true price tag in this fight. She's got everything going for her that you would need in a fight against Jessica Penne, right? First and foremost, she's coming in with not maybe as much as exposure because she fought for Bellator and she fought for Invicta, and she's but she's on like quietly on a 3-fight winning streak, and she's looked good, man. The Juliana Lima fight, she looked awesome. The Danielle Taylor fight was one of the nastiest KOs in women's MMA you'll ever see in your life. And then to put away Alicia Zappitella, who's undersized, of course, but to put a beating on her like that and have a doctor stoppage, Emily Ducote is really coming into her own. This is a girl at 28 years old. She went to, it's not the University of Oklahoma, but it's like one of the big wrestling programs in Oklahoma, like collegiately.
Oklahoma
wrestled there
State.
for a couple of years. Oklahoma, was it Oklahoma State? Is that where she wrestled?
I mean, OSU.
I can get it.
I think OSU.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
The,
I just want to make sure because I didn't when I was checking it out the last time we did the preview on it. It's Oklahoma City. Sorry, Oklahoma City University. Now that doesn't sound like it's not one of the big
dusty.
ones. They've got 72 national champions have come out of this university.
Oklahoma City?
Right? Oklahoma City University.
Oklahoma. All right, you keep talking.
It's a private university historically affiliated with the United Methodist Church located in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So she wrestled there for a couple of years for no other reason than this was the best program for me in the area to come to. Wrestling, not all that bad. Transitions to MMA. She's slowly added the striking into her game, and now she's just very, very well-rounded. So she wrestled at that university in 2012. 2013, like the very next year that she's in that university, is when she starts doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She competed Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or she at least, trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at a fairly high level under some great instructors. And in fact, she herself just recently got awarded her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. She got the wrestling, she's added the grappling to it, and then as you can see from her last 3 fights, her striking has come a long way. It's very good. So my thing with Jessica Penne is that she's been squeaking by. I mean nobody really thinks she's winning
Penne's only
fights.
way to win this fight was probably to get the takedowns. That's what I was kind of thinking about it on paper. So
100%.
She's not a great wrestler by any stretch of the imagination. I just wanted to know if Ducote was a great wrestler. I faded Ducote against Zappitella. There was like a ridiculous like plus 1100 line that got like steamed up like on fight day for that Invicta card. Right. I throw a little sprinkle on it. Obviously it lost, but it was a doctor's stoppage, which was saddening. Penne's prize picks is set at 1.5 takedowns. Is she gonna take her down twice?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
Personally, I don't think so. And the other thing with Zappitella was actually like one of the she was like number 4 in the country for her weight class, freestyle wrestling, and like missed out on a spot to go to the national team by like one wrestle off. So like Zappitella is actually a very good wrestler. Ducote's strong, she's physical. She's got the BJJ black belt to go with it. I don't see Penne taking her down. If Penne does take her down, I think her grappling is more than adequate to survive any spot and return to her feet. And once it gets standing up, Penne becomes a liability. Her striking is not that good. She relies on the fight hitting the ground. Let's not forget with Jessica Penne, after she lost to Danielle Taylor, yes, she lost to Danielle Taylor. Mm-hmm. She took 4 years off, 3.5 years off, started OnlyFans. She got suspended from USADA for 3 years, dealt with her suspension, comes back against Lupe Godinez, got outstruck in all 3 rounds, got taken down 3 times. I mean, the numbers show 40-31, 3 takedowns to 1. But the fight, as everybody remembers it, is Penne just slithered onto her back, threw a body triangle in, and held on for dear life. Wasn't a clean victory, but she did enough to get the job done. We'll give her that one. The Karolina Kowalkiewicz fight, super frustrating. Karolina takes her down and gets on top of her, and then she throws up an armbar and catches her. So it's like, damn, like, why'd you fight that game plan? But they're engaging her. Ducote has the wrestling to keep it standing, the grappling to engage her and have more success than some of these other girls, and the striking to just sprawl and brawl her and beat her up standing. So multiple paths to victory. She's 28 years old. This is her UFC debut, but she's already fought in Bellator. She's fought in Invicta. She's won a world title. She's very experienced for somebody coming in making their debut. I think she's going to put all that experience to good use and then go out there and put something on. So again, this is her 18th pro fight. I'm not expecting the same jitters as somebody that's coming off the Contender Series. I think she's well-rounded, and I think those multiple paths of victories, all good stuff to beat Jessica Penne. Minus 150, good price tag. I like it all. Penne also, for the record, 39 years old. So she's 11 years younger than her and potentially better than her in all of the major aspects of combat sports. The only one thing you would lean is, well, Penne's got huge experience. It's like, yeah, she does. But it's not like this girl's coming off the Contenders. She's got pretty big experience of her own. So I gotta say it's a good price tag. And worst case scenario, we get torched by it. You could rebuild. It's the first fight on the card. I know Pat doesn't like taking the favorites in women's MMA fights. I get it. Penne's cashed as back-to-back dog tickets, I think now, but her magic's about to run up, and I'm thinking it's this Saturday.
Yeah, she's older than me, so she's straight up washed at this point.
Top ticket. Top ticket.
Top ticket.
I'm sold. Let's go.
Ducote, top
Let's
ticket.
go. Minus 150.
I mean, the fact that
if
she can just stop the takedowns, then I don't really see. Like
gonna
I
box her
I watched her against Zapatella, and her striking looked pretty solid. So, yeah, for my only bet that I actually made, I made it on the show while I was talking to you. I made Waterson money line plus 270. The decision, if you want to go and get that extra little bit of fun in you. I'm not going to fault you. I think that Waterson wins by decision, and I think the line's a little bit out of hand. At Paul Shag on Twitter, I'll post all of my other bets that I make over the course of the week. And then Prize Picks, promo code DOP if you want to join in on the fun, or if you want to fade my picks. Our Prize Picks have been pretty good recently, though, so tread carefully. I've got Soriano under 1.5 takedowns. Herbert Burns over 1.5 takedowns. Jung over 2 takedowns. Muslim Salikhov over 1.5. That one's a little bit greasy because I don't know if the King Kung Fu is going to really lean on that wrestling. I just think that's the best path for him. And then Jessica Penne under 1.5 takedowns. All wrestling. Inshallah, Cody. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And obviously I'll post the rest of my my prize picks later on in the week at Paul Shag on Twitter. Hit him with the PRP, Cody.
PRP is going to shake up to be Brian Ortega, Michelle Waterson, dog number 1. Jingliang Lee, dog number 2. Matt Schnell, dog number 3. Shane Burgos, Miesha Tate, Punahele Soriano. So greasy, that guy. Jack Shore, yeah. Bill Algeo, Justin Jacoby. No. Dong Jung. So that's dog number 4. Dustin Stoltzfus, dog number 5. And then Emily Ducote. So 12-fight card, 5 of which I believe will be underdogs. That does seem like a fairly high ratio. But again, we see that happen every other week. So nothing crazy there. A lot of those dog picks are also closer to even money. So don't let anybody fool you there. Where I'm struggling is like you got Brian at the top because, one, I like Brian, but also he's the main event. So it's just an easy to create that situation for us. But who do you put with him, right? Shane Burgos, damn, dude's going to be in a fight of the night war. I don't really love that. Yeah,
okay, Ducote, and then you just rebuild.
Like? Soriano's a bum. Okay, what about Jack Shore? Jeez, Ricky Simone ain't no joke. Maybe Bill Algeo, top ticket. That stings me a little bit. Pat's not wrong with Emily Ducote. I got more faith in Emily Ducote than I do 85% of this card.
Then there you go.
But it's women's MMA, man, which, me and women's MMA
Penne
don't go great together.
Armbar from guard.
So stupid. You can see it coming. You can always see it coming. I'll give Emily Ducote one thing. Like she has grappled at not grappled like grappling tournaments, but her team is like, very, very the Rafael Lovatos of the world, like very, very high level people in Oklahoma. And prior to that, just like her head coach, I believe, is out of the Hoyler Gracie system. Like it's good people to be surrounded by. She only just got her BJJ black belt May 14th, 2022. So 2 months ago. 2 months ago, she got her BJJ black belt. And again, I think that's credit to she's improving. She's getting better. She started BJJ in 2013, 9 years into her BJJ journey, just awarded her black belt, Invicta champion, making her UFC debut. Last loss, because, she's 5-1 in her last 6. Last loss, Kanako Murata, split decision for the Invicta title, 5 rounds. Kanako Murata, for the record, 2011, junior world champion, freestyle
wrestling. Do it, coward.
Judo black belt.
You don't have to sell us.
Yeah, you know what?
You don't have to sell us. You have to sell yourself on this.
I sell myself, dude. It's a women's MMA fight, and it's the first fight on the card. Is that top ticket material?
But
sometimes you got to
keep this standing. I don't think Jessica Penne is going to win a stand-up affair really against anybody.
Said the same thing about Lupita Godinez. What ended up happening is Godinez had the wrestling advantage, and she had the wrestling advantage, and she had the striking advantage. You know what happened? Jessica Penne just slinking to her back, throwing up a body triangle. And these uneducated judges sitting cage side were like, "She's been on her back doing absolutely nothing." It's like, God damn it, women's MMA. Who knows, Paul? Who knows? But I will admit, I think Ducote is the rightful winner.
Oh, I got picks for you.
You got a prize pick for us here, or what?
Oh, I got 2 prize picks. So obviously, if you've been playing along on prize picks with Pat through 2 weeks, you've won 8 times your money because I'm undefeated. Castillo would have hit for us last week. It got taken off the play.
May never lose.
But it's still cash. Yeah, I mean, how could I ever lose? That'd be impossible, right? So code DOP. You can just click on the link on the description. It'll take you right to it. Match deposit of up to $100. I mean, you like to give out the big play. It's like Cody in the PRP. Like, is he really going to go 12 for 12? I mean, he's done it, so yes, he can most definitely do it.
I like going 5.
I know you like going for 5.
I like the 5 for 5.
I think I'm going to keep it to 2 fights or 3 fights. That's the way I'm winning 3 times my money or 5 times my money, and we're going to keep it to that. We'll give out a 5. That's fun with just some of the other ancillary pieces you were talking about. But Sumudaerji under 51.5 significant strikes. With the way that both of you talked about that fight, it's just an under either way. If Sumudaerji wins, it seems like it goes under. Or if he gets knocked out, it seems like it goes under. So his path to getting there, when I looked at his total significant strikes, he's hit the over like once on that. Herbert Burns over 1.5 takedowns. Jessica Penne under 1.5 takedowns. $150 pays $750 on the power play. You need all 3 of them to be right. So let's go with that one. And then we're going to follow it up by adding 2 more to that. It has to be a flex play, so you still win if it goes 4 of 5. But I got those 3. I got Amanda, how do you say her name? Lemos under 63.5 significant strikes. And then I need 1 more to throw on here. How good do you feel about Soriano under 1.5 or
I think Soriano. Yeah, but I think Soriano is the best. I don't think he's that good of a wrestler, and the guy he's taking on is so strong, and literally doesn't get taken. Like, he got at 205 pounds. He took on one of the best guys in the division, Magomed Ankalaev, who only took him down once.
By the way, since we've been talking, that well-hung Jung takedown went from 1.5 to 2 for the over. Jung.
Gotta get on it quick. Sons of bitches.
So, yeah, I'll go with the...
that was already at 2.
What? Was it already at 2?
Yeah, it was already at 2.
So between Soriano under and Jung over, which one do you like better?
Soriano? I like Soriano under. I think he'll be lucky to get 1 takedown.
All right.
I really don't... I think that's like the pillar piece for me. So you had Penne, Soriano, Burns...
Sumudaerji under 51.5 significant strikes, and then Lemos under 63.5 significant strikes. 100 if all 5 hits, pays 1,000. It pays 200 if 4 of them hit, and you get like $40 back if only 3 of them hit. I mean, you don't want that, obviously. You want all 5, but 100 pays 1,000 on all right. So let's go. Let's try to clean up here. We're up money. Let's press it a little bit. Hopefully, this all works out.
Note the move is too. If you haven't got in on the action yet, you just go to Prize Picks right now, put in the code DOP, put in $100. They match you with $100. And then you use that $100 to just nail down on Pat's picks, right? It's your free roll money. And yeah, Paul crushed the first week. Pat crushed last week. Prize Picks at some point is going to start to be like, man, what the hell? But we can give away money to the people between here and there. Go for it. So if you're on board already, I think we've got, a couple people signed, or a couple hundred people have signed up, and everyone seems to be having a lot of fun over there. It's just a way different way to attack all these fights. Yeah. Paul and I could talk for hours, 10 hours. This guy might win. That person might win. But a different way of saying is this person might win, but it's these totals, right? Sumudaerji one makes excellent. He's either going to knock out Matt Schnell in under 50 significant strikes, or he's going to get submitted and not score 50 significant strikes. That's a good way of attacking it on both sides.
I think, that's the thing is, like, you can't really bet these types of things. I've seen people go like, it's just like a 5-leg parlay, but like, the payouts aren't equal to that. It's like, well, that's not entirely true, because like nobody's offering significant strike totals that I can parlay together. Nobody's offering how many takedowns deep prelim fighters are getting. So it's like markets that aren't available in the other things for parlays. So it's like you can't really compare them whatsoever. And you can, like Robbie Lawler, 2 weeks ago, it's like he still got over the 73.5 significant strikes, because I thought it was going to be a high volume fight, but he got finished at the end of round 2. So like there's edges to be had every single week. I've been enjoying it so far. We're not just trying to like shill you guys hard on this. Like, we actually enjoy it. We put our own money in. I always post my tickets every single week. So, yeah, no, we've been having a lot of fun with it. That is it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Pat and Cody, I'm Paul, saying goodbye and good luck.